Saints get on the board. They beat the New York Giants. Can they make it 2 in a row? Mike Triplett's here with us. Mike, how are you, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. So, in order to make it 2-0, what do the Saints have to do this week? 2 in a row, excuse me.
Yeah, look, I mean, they've kind of got their team at pretty close to full strength. I think that'll help. The full starting offensive line, Chase Young making his debut at defensive end. Justin Reed doesn't look like he's going to miss a game. So, I mean, they've got a fighting chance. I don't think they should be the favorites, but I think they, I think it's very realistic to think a similar performance. The young secondary making plays like they made. If they get a little pass rush, the offensive line can allow them to get their run game. I think we could have a competitive game on our hands.
I'm really curious. I'm glad you went to a couple of the injuries. Ruiz and Young are really interesting to me. Ruiz was supposed to be 4 to 6 weeks. He's only going to miss a game. And then it looks like Young finally is going to play after missing 5 games. So maybe if you would shed a little light on what's happened with those two guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's the opposite ends of the spectrum, right? Both showing what an inexact science it is to try to project the length of injury. I don't know that either was misdiagnosed or if Ruiz is just back on the early end of a range and Young is back on the late end of a range. Chase Young did talk about it yesterday that, with a calf injury, there's just so many examples of people who come back from that too early and then let it get worse. And he plays a position that requires a lot of explosion, so they all agreed that being cautious was the best approach. And then, with Ruiz, yeah, I thought 4 to 6 weeks as well. He did too. He said he was surprised how good he felt this week, but he was just upgraded from limited to full participation. So everything trending up in that area right now.
Mike, is there a matchup in this game that you could look at and you say, I think the Saints have an advantage there against New England?
Yeah. I mean, New England is not a fully formed team either. So whoever Christian Gonzalez is not covering in the secondary, there are chances at explosive plays with this team from time to time. I know Nick had a stat on our show today. I think they might lead the league in giving up explosive pass plays. And obviously, that's possible with Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. And they're not just always sitting back there in the 2-shell, we're going to make you chip away at us. So, that's where the Saints are supposed to be special, especially if the offensive line is healthy and gives Spencer Rattler some time. And then, I don't know that they have the advantage in the secondary, but after the way the secondary just played last week, they obviously have to contain Stephon Diggs, but there's some question marks in the receiving core for the Patriots. So really, on the two sides of the ball, like that's where they want to try to win this game.
Mike Triplett's with us, NewOrleans.football, courtesy of Benny's Car Wash, the unlimited membership club. Highly recommend it. I'm a member. You should be as well. Benny'sCarWash.com, Benny'sCarWash.com. Hey, I'm glad you brought up the receivers and Shaheed. There was that report, I'm sure you saw it, from there was a radio host in Pittsburgh who said the Steelers inquired about Shaheed. Look, Shaheed's on a 1-year deal. I'm sure they'd like to have him back next year, but the question is, what does he cost? Do you have any thought there on what may happen with Shaheed and possibly approaching the trade deadline?
Yeah, I have not been able to confirm that, they definitely inquired, but they should. I mean, when we talk about who should the Saints sell, what could you get something back for, Shaheed is high on that list. I mean, it's a guy not under contract for next year that would really help another team and that another team might be interested in, paying and extending. So that his name is on a list like that, but the other factor in something like that is if you're trading a guy who is a free agent next year that would draw interest around the league, you could potentially get a compensatory pick for him. So you could keep him and get a pick for him. I think you'd have to get something special for him. I'd be shocked if he was the type of player that the Saints were just selling for pennies on the dollar at the trade deadline. I don't think they'll do that with anybody. I think any trades they make would have to be, the return would have to mean something, kind of like with Marshawn Lattimore last year. I don't think they'll just be handing players out for whatever they can get and compiling a bunch of seventh-round picks. But with someone like Shaheed in particular, I think it would have to be a really special pick.
What do you think about Grupe? What do they do?
Look, I don't disagree with the philosophy that both Kellen Moore and Phil Galliano said this week, which is we have enough evidence that Blake Grupe is worth trying to fix. Like we know we like him when he's working, and it's worth us putting the effort forth to see if we can fix him, as opposed to some sort of just punitive. You miss a kick, you get cut. Now let's see who's out there. They want to fix him. That's their top priority. But man, that's disturbing when you see 2 misses last week on top of the 3 previous ones, and he's been having kickoff trouble too. So it's just they're not hiding from the fact that he's going through something right now in his head, and that something needs to be fixed. They want to fix it. I would try to do the same for as long as I could, but I think they're pushing the envelope now on how long they can keep trying to do it, because it's cost them games.
You could argue the first 2 games of the season that he cost them opportunities, certainly, to be in position to win those games. Yeah. He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett, NewOrleans.football, NewOrleans.football. Okay, so there's this question at 1-4, Mike, where obviously you'd love to think you can get back in it. Then you got a stretch here that feels manageable with New England and then Chicago, and maybe there's some wins out there to get it. But are there things where going into this game you would say, I'm not talking about moral victory, but the things that you would look at going into this game that you would like to see from New Orleans as they continue this progress from the disaster in Seattle a couple of weeks ago to what we've seen now the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, look, I came into this season thinking the number one thing you want to see, if you're pulling for the Saints to be something again within a couple of years, is young players that could emerge as building blocks for this team. So, prove that performance from the secondary was legit. Kool-Aid McKinstry is among the very most important players on this whole team, but what if Jonas Sanker proves to be somebody you found in the 3rd round, and Quincy Riley proves to be somebody you found in the 4th round? Nothing could be more encouraging than seeing strong performances from them. Obviously, the top of that list is Kelvin Banks and Tali Fuaga, guys that you want to be foundational cornerstones, and you don't have to go back and draft any more offensive tackles in the 1st round. And then even guys who have a couple years left on their deal. Chase Young, I mean, they just signed him to a 3-year deal. But watch him, finally deliver on his massive potential. So anybody that could be a part of this thing for the next few years is always who I'm keyed on. With this team.
Do we know what Chase Young's role will be this weekend? I'm assuming he's going to play, but do we know snap count or what the role will be?
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but
okay.
Obviously Carl Granderson and Cam Jordan have played well, so you are afforded the luxury of making that a rotation and not having to force him in any snap counts. But I mean, fully padded at Wednesday's practice. He doesn't look like a guy who's sort of just dipping his toe in the water. He looks ready to turn and contribute.
Awesome. NewOrleans.football is where you can read his stuff. He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett. Give him a follow there. Our chats every week are brought to you by Benny's Car Wash. Go to bennyscarwash.com and you can learn more about their membership clubs. I'm a member. Highly recommend it. bennyscarwash.com. bennyscarwash.com. Okay, Mike, we always appreciate it, man. We'll talk next week.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.